If you want to impress all your friends and maybe upset your sourdough friends and make amazing bread like this, keep following this video and I'll show you exactly how to do it. It's super easy and it only has 4 ingredients. Everybody loves fresh baked bread, but the time and the effort, and especially if you're doing sourdough and it's overnight and it's stretch and folds and all that, can be a lot. Now those products are delicious, but they take a lot of work. I'm gonna show you a bread recipe that's super easy, that someone with no kitchen skills can make, and it'll actually really impress people. Now, yeah, let's get going. So we need 360 grams of flour. I always weigh my flour, but 360 grams is 3 cups approximately. Well, it's exactly 360 grams, but when you don't weigh, you know, your 3 cups. So that's gonna take out my flour. Really like that flour brand. It's the King Arthur flour. Okay, 360 grams of flour. We're gonna add 2 teaspoons of yeast. I like Red Star. That's my preference. I always move it into a jar because I like jars, and yeast ends up getting everywhere somehow. Okay, we've got 2 teaspoons of yeast. Then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of salt. And then we've got 1.5 cups of warm water. Not hot, just warm. Just gonna pour that in. This is gonna be a very wet dough. So don't worry when you mix it up. It's gonna be somewhere between like a bread dough and a cake batter, but it's not gonna be like a baguette dough or a regular bread dough. It's just gonna be quite wet. And you're just gonna mix that all in really good until it's completely mixed, I guess. Combined, well combined. Anyway, only takes a minute or 2. Just don't want any dry flour. So you can see how wet that is, but that's all good. That's exactly what we're wanting. Easy breezy. So it's come off the sides, it's well combined. And now all I'm gonna do is I'll leave my tool in there, my dough blender, dough thing. I don't know, you see how technical I am? Yeah, we're gonna just leave that in there. I'm gonna throw my bread towel over it, and we're gonna just let this thing sit for 2.5 hours. The hardest part of this entire bread now is done. So 2.5 hours, we're gonna let it rise. If you wanted to develop more flavor in this bread, you could put it in the refrigerator and do a slow rise overnight. But this, we're doing fast, simple, something you can make like any weeknight, even if you're in a pinch. It doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of skills, and it tastes awesome. We've been allowing our dough to rise for 2.5 hours. Now we're gonna turn our oven on, but we're gonna put our Dutch oven in it. So we got our Dutch oven, we're gonna pop that in and set the oven to, let's go 425 degrees, let it get piping hot inside. Oh, and you want your rack on the lower center rack. Our dough is at all of its time to rise and our oven's piping hot. You can see there what it looks like. It's very bubbly, very wiggly. You could probably make like a focaccia out of this, but what we're gonna do now, this part is a little tricky, not super, but a little. We're just gonna flour our table here, our countertop, and then we're gonna turn out our dough here. And you'll see it's pretty sticky stuff, so make sure you use a little bit of flour, but you also don't want to over flour your dough. You don't want to lose the consistency and the texture that this is going to have. Okay, so we got our dough out, and now we're going to try to just shape it up just a little bit. It won't be that important though, because we're going to flip it over here in like 2 seconds. So just kind of make a little bit of a ball with it like that. Oh, you got like some nice air bubbles. Go underneath it, slap that right on the center of your parchment, and then kind of shape it. It doesn't have to be perfect though, we're making rustic bread, you know? So if it's not perfect, no big deal. I'm gonna use my lem. You can use a really sharp knife if you want. And now we're just gonna make a cross. You know, I know people can do some pretty freaking amazing patterns, especially these big time sourdough folks, but I'm gonna keep it really simple, just across, so that as the dough cooks, it opens up Now we're gonna put it into our oven. It's piping hot. Gonna put the lid on and we're gonna cook it for 30 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, so we're just gonna pop the lid off here. And it's already looking pretty good, but we want a nice dark brown top. So we're gonna let it cook for another 12 to 15 minutes, just till the top has got that really nice dark brown color. I let it cook for 15 more minutes. Woo! So let's name with the lid off so that we can get a nice brown top. Then we'll go ahead and shut off our oven. Maybe my gloves are off. You can pull it out with the paper. I've got the gloves on her. So there she is. Nice and brown, looking delicious. And we're gonna let that loaf of bread sit for about 20 minutes. Let it cool down.